Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Super-Fanta-Fi. This being a show where I talk about TV shows of the supernatural, fantasy, and/or science fictional genre. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of The Crossing. A great episode. Turns out our mysterious lady who goes by the name Mary Smith, trying to keep a low profile, but I guess, just for the safety of things, she didn't break character. Because at one point, the moment he started bringing up stuff about the future, she's like, oh, I have no idea what that is. I didn't expect her to be, I knew she was part of the future, sure, obviously, just her circumstance and just what she was all about. But I didn't realize she was literally one of the two people behind the reason why this all exists. They're the ones behind the threshold and everything, which is so interesting to think about. Also, her wife, Grace, isn't that the same actress? That's the same actress who was in Ghost Wars. I forgot her character's name. But isn't that also the same actress that's in, she's Nico's partner in Somewhere Between, the ABC show? I don't know if that is the same actress or not. I think I thought at the time that was, but I'm not 100% sure. It's definitely the same actress that's from Ghost Wars, but nevertheless, I thought that was just kind of interesting. But nevertheless, she's behind a lot of the time travel. She was they're the main ones behind it. They're the ones that instituted the whole, everyone going back 10 years ago, which begs the question, I'm assuming that had to be some organized thing, because it hasn't really, the fact is that it's this specific group. Obviously it was some organized thing. It turns out it's at least 25 people. But the thing is, who started first? Was she acting on the behalf of this group? Was that something she was already working on? How do you get away with making something like that, considering the fact is I feel like Apex try to wipe out everything, kind of keep humans down low and without, something as advanced as that. Is that something that naturally happened? It can't be. Obviously it's something they helped make, but it's how did you get away from hiding that from Apex? I mean, it was a big time secret. It's actually super sad in the grand scheme of things, because they wanted to help as many people as they could, because the moment they found out, oh wow, nothing's changed, that literally means that the people we sent through before literally failed, which that's what I was kind of getting at too. It's how did that group come to her? Was it something that they heard rumored? Did they kind of help her finish this up? They and kind of was hey, you do this, send us to this specific, how do you science that up, creating a time machine essentially, and getting all specifics like that. I mean, to be fair, that kind of applies all across every science fictional thing, but it just, I don't know, especially under their circumstances is what I find most interesting. But nevertheless, but that's why this group was let through. They let it out. Oh yeah, Diana was yo, let as many people know. So, because it's we know that this, that group we sent, the Saints of Future, failed. So we got to save as many people as possible. But so many more people showed up than they thought. The machine wasn't calibrated. That's why so many people, that's why they ended up in the water and ended up dying. Because not forget, the original group landed on a, street. It's actually kind of interesting, because that was probably maybe days, months apart at the very least. Obviously that was 10 years for them. Yeah, because even Paul was yeah, he hadn't seen it even 2 months. So that was a 2-month period for them. So at that point it's kind of yeah, nothing's happened. Obviously they failed to do what they needed to do. So there were just so many people that I mean, because anyone in that particular situation would jump at the opportunity to try and, get away from their life in the current state. So what's really interesting was the fact is, because at first I was how the hell did Eve find out that Diana was in Jude's custody? And then I was okay, so it must be we know that they have government stuff everywhere, so probably eyes and ears the moment anything goes through their system, they probably have people on the lookout, and oh, Diana's picture came up, so they immediately were oh, we need to deal with that. The lady they sent apparently is the fixer. She's the killer of the group, which meant that they were trying to kill Diane, which is no surprise considering the fact that they're trying to kill the original group as well. And Jude kind of figuring that out, especially when Paul called him, because I love that Paul started piecing it together. He's yeah, what about the other people at the camp? There's actually some good people there. He's so this whole situation, why can't I stay with you? Starts asking questions about the whole Emma situation, and she's well, that's why I didn't bring you along, Paul, because all you do is ask questions, which I think he has a right to. But in her circumstances, it's so interesting, because out of anyone, I feel Eve is the most cold-hearted, because even Lindauer goes yes, you think every little bit of humanity, any sympathy or empathy is a sign of oh, I'm backing out of this. I'm not. I'm in it. Doesn't mean I have to agree and like everything about it. Because it seems Eve's the only one that's just so gung-ho about doing this. It makes sense. And it's something Jude kind of figures out too. Like it's something that we've kind of already established. It's like they're trying to wipe out any traces of their connection because basically it would unravel everything that they do and jeopardize their mission. So that's why they're willing to try and kill everyone at the camp. Paul will say for now, but eventually, like when it's all said and done, they're going to kill Paul too and leave that whole cult suicide video he made as evidence of why him and the others did what they did. So what really piqued my interest too is the thing at the end where Diana was like, okay, I can build a device that makes them disappear. It's like, what does that mean exactly? I don't know what that means, because it's like, oh, she's not going to build a time machine or anything, but it's like, because at the same time, it's like, yeah, they already exist in the system, so that means even if you are able to free all of them from that camp situation, stop this whole basically massacre, they still will be hunted down no matter where you take them, so we've got to find some way. I don't know, not unless she's trying to make an EMP device, like virus type of thing, when it goes off, it wipes all these people from the system, potentially, might be something she's aiming at. I don't know, the key phrase she used was disappear, so I'm really interested to find out like what that means exactly. We saw that device she had at the end. I didn't notice it. Maybe I wasn't paying enough attention because I was expecting like a red light or something to pop up on it. It's that detector she made where it's like, oh yeah, like obviously like it's supposed to detect any disturbances, kind of like, oh, odd weather and stuff like that, like changes in air and gravity. But even Rosario kind of pointed out, it's like, yo, like there's actually snow in the mountains. There's not supposed to be in around this time. So maybe that's an implication to something else entirely. But the fact is that, it's meant to detect if anyone else time travels. She made sure to close the bridge behind her, which is kind of the saddest thing too, because like there's so many people she left behind. There were so many people. So closing, all those people are kind of left to die. But even she's kind of like, yeah, she's keeping that device just in case someone else comes through. So I was expecting it to light up, but maybe it won't light up this episode, but it might light up next episode. So that might be season, because you know that's got to come up in some shape or form. But we'll just have to kind of wait and see what happens in the long run. Like it's in an evidence locker, but I feel like the final scene is going to end with that lighting up or something, or activating, showing that someone came back in time. Like I said, not unless it did at that moment, I just didn't catch it. So what's also interesting too is you have Marshall being like, yeah, I'm gonna do this. He wants to help out with this whole situation. It's like he's motivated now because now he believes everything that Hannah was saying before. So I'm very interested to see what that's all about. Like why specifically Marshall was the one that's supposed to protect them. Like what that's all like, protect Hannah. Like what that's supposed to mean. What that's all supposed. Like I said, not less Marshall. It's like the beginning or something. Like he starts the starts the resistance, or maybe someone in his like descendants starts like the resistance that is against this whole ABAG situation. I don't know what makes Marshall so special. Maybe we'll kind of find out relatively soon. But things get very complicated at the camp because of Naomi, in particular when it comes to Rebecca and Caleb. Now, Rebecca's situation, you feel even sorrier for her, because I thought it was just kind of like Rachel was just taken from it. It's like Rachel was taken from them in front of like Rebecca. She came in and found them taking her, but they took her and like, and it's such a sad situation that it led to, it's Caleb and Rebecca had a probably fine relationship before, but it was probably like Rachel being taken that kind of broke the relationship. Because initially she didn't want to leave. It's like, even if there was a millionth of a chance that she could get her daughter back, she didn't want to leave. And that's what kind of breaks her heart the most, is like, no matter what, because she probably always feels like, I left my daughter behind. Not probably, definitely feels like that, so every moment she's here in the great peace or whatever, it just eats away at her more, that like her daughter isn't there with them. And for her, it just pisses off more, because it's just like Caleb doesn't show anything, but Caleb's just not the type of dude that showed feelings. Even he talks about it later on, is like, I have my own way of dealing with it. I'm trying to move forward, because if I don't, I will just literally probably collapse himself, but it's his defense mechanism. Because Naomi is doing something for Rebecca that Caleb can't. Naomi's kind of filling that hole in her heart, giving her purpose. It's like, you might not be able to be with your daughter, but you can honor your daughter by helping me. We can change the future in our own way, kind of similar to what the original group is trying to do. So I'm thinking that's what's kind of supposed to be like sparking all of that within her. Even to the point she's kind of like saying that things between her and Caleb should be left in the past too, just because I'm sure being with him is just a constant reminder of what she's lost. So it's like, we need to leave our lives in the past. It's Rachel's gone. I'll always hold her here in my heart, but I've got to let her go just so I can move on and we can do so much more. So it's kind of sad that things kind of played it out that way, especially because Caleb warns like the dude, and it turns out that dude that was with her is some dude that, like, I guess, I don't know whether like Apex sell them or whether he kidnapped her, whatever the case may be. He was basically coming back in time because apparently he's a con artist. He's going to use her information to get rich. So it's like, okay, I kind of figured something of that nature. But it's like Caleb knew him immediately because, like, yeah, that dude's a con artist. And it's like, he's worried that, like, she's one too. It seems like she's not that. Well, to be fair, we don't know her ultimate motives. Like, who's to say that she plans on creating a great future? I mean, that's the thing. Like, when you leave the future's, like, decision, I mean, not even just to one, like, even if you count all the people she's bringing with her, that's 4 people, that's still 5 people you were leaving up the future to decide what's going to be. And even then, I feel like she's the one that's going to dictate most of the stuff. I don't know. She seemed warm and welcoming and accepting, but I mean, you never know. I feel like there's going to be a twist with that, which there kind of was. Obviously, she's trying to manipulate people. She tried to get Frost, like, oh, I know some future stuff you can profit from, but even Frost was kind of like, nah, I can't do that, following orders and such. Another guard wasn't all that, like, he was like, no, I'm willing to do it. And when it came down to it, Frost was trying to stop them. The dude shot Frost. So I'm curious if Rebecca's still all about that. I mean, I'm sure in Naomi's mind it's like, well, it happened because he got in the way. The fact of the matter is we're trying to do something greater. It might make her have kind of like reconsider it, but it might be too late. I don't know. Maybe she's at this point because she is so desperate, trying to fill that hole in her heart with whatever purpose she can find. Maybe she's willing to go with the punches too. So I don't know. It's kind of sad that it happened like that to Frost, because he's not a bad guy. I mean, for one, it also sucks too because this is the second agent. I mean, he's not dead. He's just severely hurt. So it's definitely going to be interesting. Because Naomi, I mean, that dude also knows he can't be coming back. So obviously he's going to stick with them. So, because he made sure to take pictures of all the stuff in the room, probably stuff that he could probably use. Because at any point in time, she could rewrite that down at any point in time. So he's probably trying to take as much picture of everything, take as many pictures of everything, so that she can point out, it's like, okay, this, and this. Maybe it's just easier that way. That way she doesn't have to spend all that time rewriting it. So I guess it makes sense. Because probably like when she downloads it on the wall like that, that takes all her focus. So it's not like she can pinpoint well, no, because it's showing that she can pinpoint it if she wants to. Because she did that for Frost to kind of give him a taste of like, oh, this is what I'm capable of doing. So it's definitely going to be interesting. I mean, they picked the perfect time to get out of the camp because of everything that's going down with the original migrators. So there's also this sweet moment between Hannah and Roy where she was kind of like, she was coming here looking for a friend, but even she didn't realize in the beginning what Roy was looking for and how he felt, and because she brought him the flowers, like, in my time it means, I'm sorry. So like I said, I'm curious to see what that happens in the whole Hannah situation. It's a complicated thing because there's a whole Marshall thing and there's the whole Roy thing. Roy's kind of been on her side most of the time. There's been complications with Marshall, but I don't know. We'll see in the end. Like I said, it never said anything about like, oh, he's going to be the one that you love or anything like that. It's just like, no, he'll be the one to protect you, but that might be driven by the fact that he might love you. I don't know. We'll ultimately see in the end what he ultimately decides to, like, what that whole situation turns into, like that little love triangle situation. Like I said, I'm so curious to see what Naomi's all about, because Lindauer was kind of asking questions about her, but obviously he saw that Frost was kind of like hiding stuff. So I'm like, what? Because we do see later on that, because there was talk, Diana talked about, yeah, it's mainly 25 people and a child that was 10 years old. And I was like, huh. I was like, that 10-year-old would be about 20 at this point in time. So I was like, what's that all about? And we see a little girl that's got the same markings as Naomi. And immediately my brain went one of two things. It was like, that's Rachel, isn't it? It has to be Rachel. If it's not Rachel, I'll be quite surprised. Which begs the question, how did they get there? I mean, once again, that guy got his hands on Naomi at some way, so he had to have kidnapped her or just snatched her up at some point in time. I don't know how you did that. How did you guys get your hands on one of them? So that's why they're so efficient in everything that they're doing, because she's one too. I wonder, does she 100% know what? Well, no, because she has to know. Well, it's hard to say because she was 10 years old at the time, so I feel like they picked her for a reason. So it's like, it also depends on how long she was captured for and stuff like that. And if in fact that was Rachel, she might not have been there that long. So it might not have impaired her that much. She might not have that much information. Well, because each one is different ones too. I forgot about that. Like for her example, like mathematics or stuff might be hers. Like they're not all history buffs, I'm pretty sure. Because I was thinking like, oh, she could be their secret weapon, but it's like that can't be the case. Maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe when they were attacking Apex or something, this like original group, this kind of resistance group, maybe when they first attacked Apex, they found her and rescued her, and she's been a benefit. Like I was thinking, like if she is all about history, like Naomi is, then it's like okay, because I forgot because Naomi was like, yeah, they're all good at different things. Is what like they can absorb information in a different way. So I think in my head, I was initially thinking like, oh, they're all gigantic like computer brain like libraries of all of human history, but I don't know if I don't remember if it's like each one is like that or they're all specific about specific things. Like Naomi is history, but this particular one who's potentially Rachel is a math person, you know, because it looked like she was looking up like crypto stuff, like secret language, written language. Not written language, it's secret languages is what I was trying to say. I do apologize, I'm all over the place. So well, it'll definitely be interesting to see what goes down next episode. We do see that what they plan on doing is a poison thing, which I guess would fit with the whole cult thing. So I'm surprised Eve doesn't know about Paul's call to Jude. I guess because it was in that place and maybe they're not paying as much attention. So even though Paul has his suspicions and stuff like that, which even when it was all said and done, he didn't give up Eve's name, but Jude definitely knows that Eve and Lindauer are connected to what happened to Emma, so that's kind of set in his mind, so that's definitely going to be interesting going forward, too. Some very interesting things that have been set up in this episode. I'm very interested to see where this all goes going forward, especially considering the next episode is going to be a 2-hour season finale on Saturday, if you didn't catch that, which it's weird. I don't know why they're doing it. I have my suspicions like, it could be this and that, but I'm like, whatever the case may be. This Saturday, there's going to be a 2-hour season finale, so that's weird, but okay, I'll accept it, I guess. I had a feeling we were kind of etching towards the end of the season anyway, but it's definitely going to be interesting to see what goes down in the season finale, like how this all kind of plays out. What's also going to happen with Diana and Grace, because like I don't know if Naomi's group is necessarily going to be found by like Jude and Diana. I don't know if that's necessarily going to work out like that. Like I said, what they're up to, what they end up doing, we'll just have to wait and see. Hopefully we get answers to all of this in the season finale. But really, that's all I want to talk about in this episode. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.